everyone. It's Wednesday. I hope you're all well and you're all safe. So, my next guest is a little bit of a local celebrity for us here in Pembrokeshire. He's appeared in so many of our local pantomimes at the Torch Theatre, and he's always the Dane, and he's always hilarious, fabulous, just amazing. So, please take a listen to my interview with Dion Davies. He was brilliant.
I love it. Yeah. So if I ask you a couple of questions, are you all right with that?
Yeah, you go for it.
So my first question is really, where did it all begin for you? So what sparked your passion in performing?
I think I started, my dad's quite a funny bloke, as in he's just, naturally, we would be in the car going to Lampeter. They're from Lampeter in West Wales. So we would travel quite a bit in the car, and he would be singing just stupid songs and stuff to entertain us. Do you know what I mean? So some were quite rude, so obviously we would laugh a lot, and then Mum would give him a row or whatever. And then I kind of thought, yeah, this is good. It's a good way of feeling good, is to make people laugh. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the first time when I knew my dad was funny. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, yeah, I like this. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to try it. So I would try that then. And then I think basically little things would come up in school, people would say, oh, does anybody want to go dance? They've got a dance audition or whatever. Most of the boys would go, I'm not dancing, But I'd be like, yeah, I'll dance.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I couldn't dance at all, obviously, but I was like, yeah, of course. And then I would do some stupid dance. But because I didn't have any, and I still don't have it, I don't have any embarrassment about myself. There's no filter. So basically, I will literally pretty much do anything anybody tells me to do. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit better as I get older. But if people go, oh, if you do that, that'll be hilarious. I'll go, all right then, and I'll do it. Do you know what I mean? So I'll do a dance, or I'll say a joke, or I'll, somebody will say, just shout out this word. Okay, I will. Yeah. So I used to do that a lot, and then thought, oh my God, and people would laugh, and I thought, this is funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, you kind of develop your comedy skills, annoying skills, maybe, I don't know, so everybody's different. Everybody's comedy is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that's where it started, that kind of wanting to be, to entertain and wanting to kind of perform, really. And then Eisteddfod, Welsh, because I'm a Welsh speaker.
Yeah.
I used to compete in the Eisteddfod in all kinds of things, like singing, dancing, whatever. And I kind of got that bug as well then of being on stage in front of a lot of people early, when I was young. And I thought, well, this is quite nice. I quite like the attention I'm getting and that buzz,
Yeah.
And then when I went to high school, the first year, they opened a thing called HTV Drama Workshop in Cardiff. A guy called Peter Wooldridge started it. With the Bristol kind of HTV and the Cardiff HTV, and they kind of chose out of like 3,000 kids across Wales, basically a load of kids to go into the school, and I think there was about 20 to 30 of us, and by now we look back, and a lot of them, like Johan Griffith was one of them, do you know what I mean? He was, so, and Jan Anderson, and there were a few people who have gone on and, become much bigger, obviously. Do you know, Mally Harris was another one. So different actors and actresses, and I tried for that and got in. So I was quite young. I was the youngest in the HTV Drama Workshop, and then so I was 11, and then there were kids who were 16, 17 in there as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was quite an eye opener, because you got to see, these older kids acting, and just kind of wanted to be like them and go, okay, that's good, and they're good, and. We did tumbling, we learned how to tumble and stuff there with Peter, and I did stilt walking, so we did loads of different, it was weird doing, we did different skills and stuff for different shows. So, and then we also got auditions for programs which were on HTV then, do you mean? So I think it was a kind of thing to get kids kind of trained for programs as well, do you know what I mean? But also doing theatre stuff as well. So I think my first kind of jobs were in The Snow Spider. I think it's back on now, on BBC One. But there was the original version when I was a kid, and I was one of the bullies in that, basically. So that was one of my first parts, was bullying Gwydion Gwyn in The Snow Spider. Yeah, so good. Nice.
Brilliant. So kind of your first real insight was kind of comedy and entertainment, and then you went into then a little bit of training in this new.
Yeah, basically. So I would say the first training it was 11, in the workshop, because we would do things like now you probably do in your classes and I've done in Encore and stuff. Where hot seating and that kind of, that's introduced me to hot seating and creating characters and then getting that kind of pause, and then you add characters in, and it's all, great, which is I use them now. Do you know what I mean? When I do a workshop or whatever, I'm like, I love that. So we're doing lots of that today. Do you know what I mean? I have to say, I do prefer being on stage and having that kind of connection with an audience, and it's a kind of powerful thing, that you can hold an audience. Do you know what I mean? And even if you're not, like in Panto, when I'm playing the dame, I know when I've got the audience, when I'm having a good show or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But when you do a normal play and there is no fourth wall, you've got the fourth wall, as in the audience aren't supposed to see you, I'm not seeing them. You can still feel that energy, though.
Of course you can.
Do you know what I mean? So,
and you can still know when you've got them.
That
they're with you or they're not. And I think for me, I've not done masses of theatre in my adult life. It was more kind of like in my teenage years. But I always preferred doing the live stuff and I preferred it when they weren't with me, because it was like a challenge then. You've got that challenge of like, you're like, there's man in G6, he's having a nod, or there's a lady in F1 who keeps checking her phone. I can see you. And I thought I always liked that. That was the challenge to, by, either the interval or by the act 2, have I got you? Are you with me now? Can I win you? And that's what I always enjoyed about live theatre.
I think it's a weird thing though, isn't it? Because you do that rehearsal for 4 weeks or 3-4 weeks, whatever it is for theatre, and you basically hone that scene or that conversation or whatever to a pace, so that it's natural, but it's still funny and it's well rehearsed, but also still very
spontaneous.
Yeah, so that people think, God, that is great. Do you know what I mean? But then you have to, if you're on a run, you're doing that for 16 nights or 17 nights. And you don't want to change it too much so that it puts the other actor off, because you've been, that's the pace you've been doing it at. But you also want to keep it fresh so you're not bored either. Do you know what I mean? It is an amazing technique, and it's an amazing, it's just an amazing art form, isn't it? Basically, and that's why I think I love it most. Really, I think that's what you get from it is, and it's also that kind of fear as well, like you said. If you mess it up, it's like, oh God, And that can happen at any point. If you lose concentration, and I've done that many times in Panto when we're so comfortable and we're messing around, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it is me. There we go, and you're back in, and you're like,
switch off.
You can just switch off, and if you do, you look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's the thing, I think sometimes, like, it is nice in a way to be comfortable, because you're happy with what you're doing, but sometimes you get too comfortable, you do switch off, and you're like, oh my God, I've lost it, I'm thinking about what I'm having for tea, and this is not where I need to be.
Oh, exactly. That's the point when you got to go, right, rein it back in,
come on now.
If your director says to you, right, you've all let the ball drop, and
this is hilarious actually. My mum was like, are you going to mention it? And I was like, I'm not sure. But do you remember doing a Christmas Carol in the Torch?
That was
so I was one of the kids in that.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was.
No way.
Yes.
Bonkers.
I know. So that was my
I've sent a photo to you, all the photos I've sent. I think there might be a couple of the Christmas Carol and Wales one. So maybe it's in the Torch, and if it is, you'll probably be in that picture then, because it's the whole cast on stage.
Really? Honestly, that was my first. So I was 12, I think. That was my first paid proper acting job.
Yeah.
So I know, and I was, when we did some sort of dance or something, and I remember I was your partner, and I kept going home and saying to my mum, I can't be with him because he makes me laugh too much. I can't stop laughing, and I'm gonna get told off. I remember
the fezzy wig dance.
That was it. Yeah.
That's it. Oh my God, that is hilarious.
I know. So yeah, like however 15 years on, I remember that.
Nice one. Well, I've changed obviously quite a bit, I think, since.
So my next question is, if you could do any other job, what would it be?
Okay, this is tough. Yeah, it's tough because there's nothing else I want to do really. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think probably, especially it's timely now, but I think I'd want to try and help people. I think. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite good with people in general. I've looked after family members when they've been poorly or what have you, and I've not enjoyed it because obviously it's hard work, but I've found it that that it's good. It works. Yeah, it's rewarding, and I think even a nurse maybe. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I've got the brains to be a doctor, unfortunately. So I think I'd have to be a nurse. But I think because even now I'm thinking, because I'm not doing anything. I'm considering if things got worse and worse, I would step up. I think I would try and be a nurse and help really somehow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably I would work for the NHS. I think.
It's difficult though, isn't it, when people ask you questions like that, because you're like, well, I love what I do, so I don't really know if there is anything else that.
It is a tough one because I think, I've been brought up in a period of time where a lot of people have come into acting. Do you know what I mean? As in, I've got friends who are 60 who are actors, and they came into S4C, for example, the Welsh channel, when there wasn't many actors. A lot of teachers gave up their jobs to become actors because there weren't actors. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they had this golden age of S4C money and Welsh TV, and then they also had work on BBC Wales, and they had other avenues to go to. Then when our generation came into it, which is like 20 years later, it's kind of saturated, and I think even now, 20 years later again, it's even worse. I think it's like
horrendous. Well, literally everyone I went to school with, if you asked anyone, it was either in some sort of entertainment industry, whether it was a singer or a dancer or an actor or something. And when we were going to drama school auditions and stuff, they were like, brace yourself, because there are thousands of you for a place. And like you'd laugh it off and you were like, nah, I don't think that's possible. But it was true, like you were fighting for.
Yeah, which means you've got to be better then, haven't you? You've got to be really good, because I think, I've been into a few auditions with different companies that I've worked for, and you see the difference, I think, from over the years, where at the beginning people would come in and they wouldn't know their lines, or they wouldn't, and I've done it myself. I've gone in thinking, I'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'll get away with it. Where now I think these days, because the competition's so tough, you have to be on your A game really, or I think you're one of those people, they go, nah, great look or whatever, but nah, you're gone. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So because the competition is so hard, and there's so much of it. So like I was going to say, if you want me to come and do a workshop, I'd love to come and join you.
Kids would love it.
Yeah,
they
cool.
would love it as well, because like they feel like they know you because they've seen all the pantos and stuff. They've seen that kind of thing. So I know that they'd love that. Thank you. They would.
I'd love to, but especially when I'm down, in the autumn. Maybe, I don't, sometimes I don't work in the evenings. If I'm rehearsing, then we've got the evenings off, so I could do one of those. Or then when we do Panto, we obviously for the first 3 weeks, we're only doing kids shows in a day. So I'm off in the evenings, so one of those would be great then.
That would be epic.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Because I do a lot of, I work for a company called Mewn Cymeriad. I don't know if you've heard of them, In Character. And basically what she does is, the woman who owns the company, she's created one-man shows for actors to basically go into schools. You go in about a historical Welsh character, right? So, for example, I've done Robert Record. Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
So Robert Record is the guy who created the equal sign. So basically I give the kids his history, and then I do 4 or 5 maths puzzles for them to do in class as well. So it's an hour show. I go in with my set, whatever, set her up. I'm in character, and then bang, off I do. I do the show. And that's a nice way of kind of doing, those kind of shows. Do you mean? And that's why I can do that. That's not a problem.
Is there a role or a play you'd love to star in?
Television or film wise, I'm a massive Star Wars fan.
Okay.
Like stupid. Like I'm a geek, total geek, right? It's weird that I haven't actually got anything Star Wars on. Although I've got Boba Fett on my iWatch. Do you know who Boba Fett is?
No.
Okay. Well, he's a bounty hunter. Come on.
Sorry,
And,
I've got Minnie Mouse on mine.
yes, you do. Boba Fett is no Boba Fett.
Boom.
Yes. But so I'm a huge Star Wars geek. So I've always wanted to be in a Star Wars movie of some sort. Like they're doing The Mandalorian. You don't know about that, no? Well, come on.
Sorry, I'm not a Star Wars fan.
Well, so anything Star Wars or Marvel. I'm even into Marvel now as well.
Okay.
So anything like that, I would probably film wise, and then theatre wise, I want to play bottom.
Okay. Midsummer Night's Dream.
In Midsummer Night's Dream, yeah, I want to play bottom. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Not with, I want to play bottom. There we are.
Love it. Brilliant. And if you could meet anyone in the world, living, past, present, who would it be and why?
Ooh. I was a massive Elvis fan when I was a kid.
Okay.
I think my dad would play, back to the full circle, back to the story when we were going to Lampeter. My dad used to play either Status Quo, The Beach Boys, Elvis.
Okay.
So, it was one of those CDs or tapes or whatever he used to play. Or sometimes Eagles as well. Eagles sometimes as well. So that was the choice of music that we had. So I was brought up with that music. So Elvis was I was a big fan of Elvis. So when I was like 16, 17, 18, I used to have posters of him, and I used to try and get my hair like him, so I always thought, I'm going to be Elvis. Do you know what I mean? So I would have loved to have met Elvis actually, and I've watched his movies and heard his stories and stuff and read books about him, and it's like, I think he had a tough time. I think people took advantage of him, and I think it would have been nice to have met Elvis,
The real person.
Yeah, and see what he was like, because I think he was a genuinely lovely person.
Yeah.
So that would have been quite cool. So nothing to do with acting really, more of a sick. Although he was in many movies, wasn't he? But I think Elvis Presley. Let's go for the king.
Brilliant.
Uh-huh.
And how do you prepare for your roles when you perform on stage? How do you learn your lines and things?
Oh, I was going to say, well, I butter them first. But no. You meant
not bread rolls.
Sorry, no. Okay, well, rolls.
It is lunchtime.
It is, I'm starving. So as you can see, I'm wasting away.
I'm always hungry. Literally, my only constant mood.
Is food. I'm quite finicky, particular about things, So when I like to get off script as soon as I can, although sometimes it takes me longer. Sometimes I can get off a script really quickly, and I don't know why. It just sort of sinks in quickly, the lines or whatever. Maybe it's something to do with the writing, I don't know. But sometimes it sinks in, bang, I'm off script, great. And then I feel kind of more relaxed in the role, that I can start playing around and start messing with the actual action. Then when I've got a script in my hand, I always feel a little clunky, and I just don't feel like I'm not there yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like to get off script quickly. I learn lines quite quickly, but I have to put the hours in. Like in the nights, I'll literally sit there reading it. Then I cover a bit, and then I know it. I do that. I do all the kind of usual things.
Yeah.
And then with big monologues, like in One Man Two Governors, I had that stupid monologue. Weirdly, my son asked me and my son go running. We try and go running every day, right? So he said, "Hey, Dad, you know that monologue you did in One Man Two Governors? Do you know it?" I said, "Yeah, go on and do it." So I did it as we're running around the track, and I think it'll always be there. It's one of those monologues because it was so wordy and so difficult. I had to drill it into me. Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was like, oh God, it was.
It'll always be there somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's always there now. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's because it's that kind of thing. If you mess one word of it up, it's gone. Do you know what I mean? And you're standing there with egg on you, dripping down your face, which luckily did not happen. But close though. It was close. Like a word would trip, and I would go, "Oh, don't mess it up! Don't."
Come on.
Where do I go from here? So it was nah. So there's a method to those kind of monologues where I'll literally learn it, then I'll wash dishes while I'm saying it, or I'll do it in a different accent or something, so that nobody can throw me. Basically, do you mean if something goes wrong, I can still go back to it because it's there. Do you mean it's so encased in my brain, basically?
Love
So so that's how I kind of learn things, and I'm very methodical with my dressing room, So over the years, loads of people have come into my dressing room and gone, Dion, why are you so clean? Why is everything so particular? Do you know what I mean? It's like everything is. I'm a bit like that. They've got to be there at the beginning of the run, and then they have to be there like that then for the run. Do you know what I mean?
This is how you like it, yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes I'll have a gel there and chewing gums there or whatever. It has to be the same then for the run because I'm superstitious. If you move it, it won't happen.
Yeah.
And, and then I always keep my script open in the dressing room on first act. I have it like that, and then when I come back in for half time, I'll put it to the second act. I never check it, but it's there.
It's there just in case.
It's weird, it's really weird. I have to do that, and I keep on doing that then, so I know I'm going through the same patterns, really.
Yeah.
So I'm mental.
That's all right. Don't worry. I think we all are in certain aspects, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we all are. You just have to be honest and admit to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, admit defeat pretty much from the off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I've loved talking to you. Thank you so much for giving up your time. I really appreciate it.
No worries. It's been great. No, it's been lovely. And if you want me to come down and do a workshop, that would be great. I
absolutely do. 110%. Yeah. When we all get up and running, and if you're back, hopefully you'll be back in the autumn, Christmas time. That would be amazing. Been a star. Thank you so much. Well, I'll be in touch when this goes up on the channel, and then I'll be in touch again then to come down and work with the kids. That'd be amazing.
Thank you, Jen.
Fab. Thank you. You've been a star. Take care.
Stay safe.
Bye bye.
Ta-da.